Okay, so you've probably devoured the self-help buffet, right? Books stacked high, podcasts constantly playing. Maybe you've even got a favorite guru.
Oh, yeah, the sheer volume of content out there is staggering.
Exactly. And you're putting in the work, trying really hard to get that success mindset, but somehow the results still feel a bit, well, stuck. Does that sound familiar?
It's a common frustration, absolutely. People feel like they're doing all the right things.
Let's just be honest here. For 2025, just thinking positive thoughts isn't gonna cut it. It's not the magic bullet anymore. The world's just moving too fast. What's really holding you back often isn't your ambition. It's more like the outdated software running in your head. And that is what we're diving into today.
It's fascinating, isn't it? How much focus goes on to conscious effort, willpower, but we often forget about those deep neurological patterns that are really driving things.
Totally. Our brains are just slammed with stimulation these days.
Way more than they were ever designed for.
Precisely. So for this deep dive, we're pulling out a bit of a classic, maybe one that's been overlooked lately. Eric Robertson's Control Your Mind and Master Your Feelings.
Great book. Really foundational.
Yeah, and forget dry theory. We're extracting the key neuroscience bits and building like a practical action plan, specifically for you, the entrepreneur trying to navigate 2025.
And Robertson's work gives us this fantastic framework for understanding how our brains even develop these limiting patterns.
Yeah.
Right. But crucially, it also gives us actionable ways to step in and, rewrite them.
It's about getting control at that fundamental level.
Exactly.
So our mission today, it's super focused. In the next, say, 15, 20 minutes, we're giving you a step-by-step protocol. First, sharpen your focus to cut through all the 2025 noise.
Essential.
Second, dismantle that fear of visibility, the one that holds you back in this creator economy.
Crippling for so many.
And finally, literally hardwire your brain for success. Make high performance your default setting, not this constant struggle. Ready to jump in?
Let's do it. Where should we start? Maybe with that feeling of being stuck. Analysis paralysis.
Perfect. Takeaway 1, the analysis paralysis antidote. From cluttered mind to decisive CEO, Eric Robertson talks quite a bit about this thing he calls a cluttered mind.
Right. That state of mental overwhelm where thoughts just swirl.
Yeah, exactly. It muddies your thinking, stops clear decisions. He covers it in chapters 1, 5, 6, and he even links it to self-sabotaging behaviors.
And wow, is that relevant for 2025? I mean, think about the speed of AI, how fast trends shift online.
Totally.
If you're stuck overthinking everything, you're not just slow, you risk becoming, obsolete, basically. AI can generate options in seconds.
Right.
If you take days to make up your mind, someone else using those tools and just acting decisively, they've already won.
It's like having a million browser tabs open in your brain and nothing's actually loading. So what's the fix? Robertson gives us clues, and we've put together a sort of action plan. First up, the 2-minute rule Rewire.
Okay, intrigue.
For the next week, 7 days, any decision that usually eats up, say, more than 30 minutes, you give it a hard 2-minute timer.
Wow, okay, 2 minutes.
Gather the absolute essentials, the need-to-knows, and then make the call. Pull the trigger. Like Robertson says, don't overthink, just do.
That initial feeling of discomfort, that's actually a good sign, right?
Yeah.
That's your brain starting to rewire. You're teaching it to trust your gut, spot patterns faster, building that bias for action that's just so vital now.
Definitely. Okay, next tool from a Chapter 5 Q&A, the anxiety filter script.
I like the sound of this.
Before you spiral into overthinking, ask yourself, will this actually matter in 7 days, in 30 days? What about a year from now, 365 days? If the answer for the 365-day mark is no, it's probably just low-value mental clutter. Delegate it, automate it, or honestly just make a good enough call and move on.
That's such a great filter. It protects your mental energy, forces you to focus on what's truly strategic versus just noise.
Right. And the last piece for this takeaway from Chapter 6, the daily mind dump, super practical.
Okay, just 5 minutes every morning, maybe first thing. Write down everything swirling around, tasks, worries, ideas, anxieties. Get it out of your head onto paper or a screen.
Robertson talks about clearing the mental inbox, right? This is literally doing that.
Exactly.
It's like hitting refresh on your brain. You free up that cognitive space for the important stuff, the deep work.
Yeah, picture that founder, Aisha. She's got AI giving her amazing insights super fast. But if her brain's a jumble of what-ifs, she's stuck.
Right, she can't leverage the speed.
But Aisha, using these strategies, she sees the data, she acts. Think about someone like Alex Hormozy, maybe? His content velocity, that screams 2025 brain.
Totally. It's about mental agility, processing and acting decisively.
All right, let's shift gears. Takeaway 2, breaking failure addiction, deleting your old identity loops.
Ooh, this is a big one. That feeling of being addicted to failure patterns.
Yeah, Robertson really digs into this in chapter 2. He talks about cognitive distortions, things like filtering, only seeing the negative, catastrophizing, always jumping to the worst case scenario,
And disqualifying the positive.
Yeah.
Brushing off any compliments or wins.
They create these nasty feedback loops.
Exactly. He says you get almost hooked on those familiar failure feelings. The key is spotting them, then actively replacing them.
And in 2025, with AI churning out generic content, your authentic, positive story, that's your edge. But if your brain's wired to dismiss the good stuff or freak out over tiny setbacks,
You can't build that genuine connection.
right. And the online world, the fear of judgment, it just pours fuel on that fire, makes those distortions stronger.
So how do we break these loops? First step, become the distortion detective.
I like it. Sounds like fun.
For the next 24 hours, seriously, start now if you can keep a note of some kind. Every time you feel that negative twinge about your business, fear, doubt, frustration,
Boy.
write down the exact thought you had right before it. Then, at the end of the day, look at your list. Compare it to Robertson's distortion descriptions. You might be shocked at the patterns.
That awareness piece is so critical.
Yeah.
Just identifying those automatic negative thoughts. You can't change what you don't see. Writing them down creates that distance.
Precisely. Then, the follow-up. The positive evidence log.
Okay. Counteracting the negative.
Exactly. For the next 30 days, end of each workday, list 3 to 5 things that went right, no matter how small. A good client call, solving a tricky problem, even just a cool new idea.
Actively training your brain to notice the positives. Fighting it, disqualifying the positive habit.
Yep. Robertson stresses consistent practice. That's how you build those new neural pathways.
You think about someone like Oprah. She's talked openly about huge early setbacks, battling negative self-talk.
Right.
Her ability to consciously reframe her story, focus on strengths, on impact. That's a powerful example of this kind of rewiring in action.
Absolutely. Okay, third big takeaway. Let's talk about peak performance. Takeaway 3, CEO mode activation. Your prefrontal cortex on demand.
Getting into that high-level thinking zone.
Yeah. Now, Robertson doesn't call it CEO mode, but when he talks about controlling one thing in stressful situations or practicing positive self-talk, organizing your life, even mindfulness.
He's essentially describing how to engage the prefrontal cortex.
Right.
That higher-level thinking part of the brain.
Exactly. To override those impulsive emotional reactions from the limbic system.
And that's so vital now. Constant digital pings, market volatility, pressure to innovate. It all triggers that fight or flight.
Totally.
The entrepreneurs who really succeed, they can consciously shift into that calm, strategic, long view CEO mode, even amidst chaos.
And with things like the 4-day workweek discussions, making the most of focused time is even more critical.
Absolutely. Maximize that high-level thinking.
So how do we flip the switch? We've got the 5-minute CEO primer. Do this before any high-stakes task.
Okay, break it down.
It's quick. 3 parts, 1 minute. Mindful breathing. Just focus on your breath, like Robertson suggests. Quiets the noise. Simple but effective. 2 minutes. Visualize success. Really see the positive outcome you want. Tap into those positive affirmations.
Mental rehearsal.
Got it. And finally, 2 minutes. Define one key objective for that task. Just one. What's the absolute most important thing? This lasers your focus.
That primer sounds like a great way to intentionally shift your brain state from reactive to deliberate. A mini reset.
Yeah. And paired with that, strategic disconnection.
Carving out focus time.
Right. This isn't just about productivity. It's about training your brain. Schedule 2 or 3 daily deep work blocks. 0 notifications. None.
Train the brain to stay in that CEO mode longer without needing those little dopamine hits from distractions.
Exactly. Robertson mentions crucial mental breaks, and these focus blocks, balanced with breaks, are key for sustained high-level thought.
You see this with people like, say, Elon Musk. Regardless of opinions on him, he clearly maintains that long-term vision, that prefrontal dominance, despite huge short-term pressures. He disconnects strategically.
Good example. Okay, final big takeaway, and this one might be the ultimate superpower now. Takeaway 4, emotional intelligence, EQ, your 2025 X factor in an AI world.
Yes, EQ, hugely important.
Robertson really focuses on this in Chapter 11, A New Dawn. Mastering emotions, developing EQ, self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, social skills. He's clear. Emotions drive behavior.
And think about it. As AI handles more technical stuff, what's left? The human skills.
Exactly.
Your ability to connect with clients, lead with empathy, navigate tricky stakeholder emotions, build a resilient brand. That's premium stuff now.
Burnout too, right? It's often not just long hours, but mismanaged emotional energy.
Precisely. EQ isn't a soft skill anymore. It's a massive competitive advantage against purely logical but emotionally unaware AI.
So let's get practical. First, the daily emotion audit.
Okay, how does that work?
For the next week, end of the day, reflect on 2-3 significant interactions. Ask, what emotion was I feeling? How did I respond? How could I have responded better?
And looking outward too.
Yeah, crucially, what might the other person have been feeling? And why? Journaling this helps you understand the roots and impact of emotions, just like Robertson advises.
That consistent reflection builds that self-awareness muscle. Understanding your triggers, considering others' perspectives, vital for relationships.
Totally. And for some real-time practice, empathy mirroring.
Sounds interesting. Like active listening.
Kind of. In your next casual chat, colleague, client, whoever, consciously listen without interrupting for, say, 60 seconds.
Okay, challenge accepted.
Then reflect back what you heard and the emotion you sensed. Like, so it sounds like you're feeling frustrated about X because of Y, is that right?
Might feel a bit awkward at first.
Maybe. But it's powerful for honing empathy and social skills.
You see this with top creators, right? They're massive communities. It's rarely just the content.
It's the connection.
It's that emotional connection, showing vulnerability, making people feel understood.
Yeah.
You mentioned Mr. Beast earlier. He uses EQ brilliantly to connect globally. It's not just stunts.
Great point. So as we wrap this up, the main thing to remember is you're not broken. Your brain isn't flawed.
It's likely just running an old operating system.
Yeah, an OS installed maybe without you realizing, based on past experiences, old advice, running in a totally new world.
And as Robertson puts it so well, we can become the architect of our own minds. That power to upgrade, to change the programming, it's there.
In 2025, the entrepreneurs who really thrive, they'll be the ones consciously, deliberately rewiring their internal setup.
It's not about grinding harder anymore. It's about working smarter by understanding and optimizing your brain.
So stop being a passenger just riding along with your default wiring. Start being the designer of your 2025 success.
Less hustle, more intentional neuroprogramming.
Stop reacting. Start rehearsing. Stop getting bogged down in overthinking. Start making those decisive moves. Build a brain that propels you, doesn't hold you back.
Which really leads to a final thought for you listening. A question to chew on. Which one of your own default wirings, those ingrained patterns, are you most motivated to redesign right now? And maybe more importantly, what's one small, specific action you can take today to start that process? Something to think about.